we monitor breath support so that we don't feel so tight and out of breath by the end of the phrase? There are two key components to this that I'm going to talk about in this video. The first is the idea of releasing your support and allowing the breath to come into a free and open space. And the second idea is the idea of engaging support downwards and out as opposed to in and up. So let's talk about the first component, the idea of releasing into the breath. So many of us think we need to take a breath and pull a breath into our body. And notice I'm so tense when I do that. The idea of a free and open breath does not involve any pushing or doing like this. Then you get the muscles tensing here, you get shoulders up, and you've actually closed the windpipe in order to help pull the air in, and so you get less air because you've made less room. So the idea that breath is somehow wanting to be in your body is actually true. You don't have to pull the breath or take the breath in. Your only job as a singer is to open up and make room for the breath that already wants to be in your body. It's part of the law of physics, the law of equilibrium. It wants to be in there. So your job is to come free your jaw, open the throat, open the ribs, allow the support in the belly to drop and soften and make room so the breath can be nice and free and open. Second idea is that once you get that nice and free and open breath, when we engage the support, we want to engage the support so that it makes almost like a corset of the lower abs and pelvic floor, okay? The job of support is actually to help the diaphragm stabilize so that it doesn't pop up too quickly and push a lot of air out of breath, okay? The diaphragm is an involuntary muscle. It's very hard for a singer to actually manipulate it purposefully if you're focused on it. So what I want you to do is I want you to focus on all the other muscles that can affect the diaphragm to stay low and move slow so that you have the optimum amount of air that's moving up, creating the optimum amount of subglottal pressure to vibrate the vocal cords perfectly for an even vibrato and beautiful resonance. To do that, you need to acquaint yourself with what these muscles are. So put your hands on your obliques, and I want you to just send your pelvic floor downwards as though you were having a bowel movement, and just feel what happens under your hands. It's not something that you can see on the outside world, but if you feel that lowered sensation of pelvic floor, you will feel the muscles engage under your palms. And then what I want you to do is find a hiss into that lower sensation of pelvic floor. Hissing down and out so that you create a corset of these muscles so they just stay solid and steady. The job of these muscles is not to push in, because if they push in, that they're pushing the diaphragm up and you're pushing out way more air than you need, and that's one of the reasons you're out of breath. So start with this idea of the hiss and give a few hisses, feeling that sensation of stability. Get there, stay there. Same thing, you can put the hand on the lower abdomen, very low, right above the pubic bone, and just engage the pelvic floor. Send your pelvic floor down and feel the muscles under your hands engage. The idea of the pelvic floor is helping to stabilize the diaphragm and all of these muscles so that these can actually prevent the excess leakage, for lack of a better word, of air. Hands on the lower abdomen. Now hiss into your pelvic floor. And see what happens. The idea is not to push the belly out. We don't want to do that. We want to engage pelvic floor down, and these muscles just get strong and stay strong. You can also feel where the ribs part if you put the palm of your finger right here on rectus abdominis, the beginning of the six-pack muscles. Same thing, hiss, and see if you can, well, before you hiss, do the pelvic floor. Engage the pelvic floor, send it down like you're pooping. And feel these muscles engage under your hand. So now you're going to do the hiss and feel everything downward stabilize. Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to go on and off the hiss, and your job is to engage and then release, open, soften, then engage, feel that consistency, then release, soften. So it will look like s, 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 s. And then when you're comfortably out of breath from the last hiss, everything opens and releases. Now, we put a vibration to it and nothing changes. This is where singers get into trouble. They start to vibrate on the sound and all of a sudden they're into all their habits of pushing and controlling and everything goes out of whack. Your only job is to stay low and stable so that the diaphragm stays stable, so the airstream stays stable, the cords vibrate at the optimum rate, okay? So pick a comfortable pitch, hands on the obliques or lower abdomen, whatever's comfortable for you to remind you of that sensation of support, and then do just a steady lip trill until you're comfortably out of breath. And then try a lip trill where where the pitch moves. When the pitch moves, do not change this sensation of stability. The habit is, for most singers, when the pitch changes and rises, to want to push in and up. But when you do that, what you're doing is you're pushing the diaphragm up, pushing more air out, and then you get a lot of air in a very kind of airy sound. You might also get grabbing and holding because you're pushing so much air up that all the muscles here want to grab around to mitigate that sensation of too much air coming through, so then you get a holding and you're out of breath like that, okay? So when the pitch rises, you want to stay stable and low. So it will be just, and do it on a couple more rising pitches. When you change from chest voice to head voice, nothing changes. If you think about your breath support, it is called support because these are the muscles that are supporting the stability of the diaphragm, okay? And when you think of other things that support things, like the legs of a table support the table, those legs don't move, okay? This support needs to be really stable. It doesn't move when you change pitch, when you change words, if you're singing in different languages, none of that matters. If you can get the efficiency down here, then you'll be able to sing a long phrase and feel free and open and not out of breath by the end. I hope this has been helpful.